Matt, 5 league wins on the spin. The unbeaten run continues. How would you assess that game this afternoon?
First and foremost, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago when we broke the record, but then to get to 20 games, that's an incredible achievement for that group of players, and to win 5 games on the bounce, almost exactly the same. Such a competitive league, and you've seen the reasons why it's so difficult even today. In terms of performance, not flat but not quite at our best. Very difficult to break the opposition down. Didn't quite create enough and put their goalkeeper or centre halves under enough pressure for a certain period, and then obviously the sending off has a big influence on the game in terms of the way they set up and we set up second half. We had to be patient and work the ball, and I'm pleased we made an impact off the bench to win the game.
It was a remarkably similar end to last week against Oldham. In fact, Carlisle scored in exactly the same minute as Oldham did, and made to put us under pressure at the end, and perhaps possibly didn't need to.
No, look, you speak to the boys, and first of all, I'm congratulating them on the run, the 20 games, and then the 5 games winning on the bounce. But just a bit of halfway line defending when we're attacking the opposition box, and everyone's thinking 3-0 as opposed to there's still danger in that game. So it's a lesson for Alex Pearce and Tim. I think it was around their lad on the halfway line, and then a little bit of quality from Brennan down this left-hand side, and we didn't quite cover the area as well as we should have done. Like I say, mindset's an incredible thing in football, and when you're 2-0 up against 10 men, sometimes you can just take your foot or your mind away from what's needed.
What did you make of the red card? Does that seem pretty clear cut to you?
It did, to be honest with you. At the time, live, I thought it was a poor tackle, and everyone said watching the footage it's a poor tackle. I don't think the lads meant to do Archie any real harm, but if you leave the ground with 2 feet, then you put yourself in danger.
You brought Jonathan Grounds on and he changed the game. Is he going to be claiming that first goal?
I hope not, because similar to what we just spoke about, I want him to value defending first and foremost. But in terms of where we were building, and we're obviously building more in possession than out of possession because of the circumstances of the game, he's outstanding in possession and he's got good delivery as well. I didn't quite see him stepping in all the way and scoring a goal himself, but I certainly saw him delivering good balls into areas, and if we got Groundsy one side and Pearce the other side, that's 2 players with the technical ability who can do that. So really pleased in relation to his impact, and obviously Jake Caprice as well.
I think you could sense the whole place just lifted when that goal went in. Carlisle had made it difficult with 10 men, and sort of finally got
even before the 10 men and even before the game there's expectation. And that's something now we've probably not had to deal with in the past, but when you're on a run like we have been doing, I don't know where we are in the league table, all of a sudden people will be thinking that's a home win. There's never a banker in League 2. I don't care who we're playing against, there's never a banker in League 2. We've just got to keep to our right principles, and our effort was fair today. We just lacked quality at times and lacked a little bit of brightness, but they were a hard team to break down. But pleased we were relatively comfortable.
And finally, after being robbed of his goal at Salford, Jake Caprice finally gets his first ever goal.
All these players getting robbed of goals. Look, delighted. I said on Tuesday after the game about the impact off the bench, and it was a foot race with him and the fullback who played really well all game. But out of any players, you don't want to chase Jake Caprice back at that moment, and he just chopped inside and hit it hard and low. So hopefully he'll keep on gaining confidence off the back of that. He was unlucky not to start the game today. It was only a tactical decision in relation to the shape that he didn't start the game, but he's made another impact which he's done time and time again, and we're still looking for different players at different times to stand up and be counted, and Jake has certainly done that this season.
I think that goal was deserving his whole performance this season rather than just today.
Absolutely, like I say, he was disappointed and rightly so. He didn't deserve to be left out today. But we know what he can bring to the team. We wanted to start with a slightly different dimension to the team. The subs are so important, and they're showing that time and time again.
I do have to ask, it's no clean sheet since our 2-0 win against Sutton. Obviously we are scoring, we do keep winning, but does it concern you at the moment?
Well, we kept a clean sheet on Tuesday night.
Well, in the league, sorry.
Okay, well, it's a clean sheet, so it doesn't concern me too much. We've got a good goalkeeper and a good back line. They're not perfect by any means, but we're playing a certain brand of football where at times we'll get punished. I've got no problem in relation to that. As long as we win games, let's be honest, when we were drawing in all games, and in recent seasons where people have questioned our 0-0s and low scoring draws, then we're not winning games of football. It's all about 3 points.
Of course, we saw a few changes today, and I'm sure we're likely to see a few changes on Tuesday because the games just keep coming.
Yeah, but opposition dependent, but we'll assess their game. We've already started the preparation in relation to that because it never stops, but we'll get half an eye on what they did today. I've not seen their results or their personnel, but our away form's been relatively strong. We need a strong foundation to start with. Colchester is always a tough place to go to, but we can't hide away from the fact that we're confident at the moment, and we want the run to continue, whether that's unbeaten or a winning run. We want that to continue because we're in a strong position at the moment.
And I imagine it is just all about managing the team, really managing the players with the schedule.
I said the word flat early on. Maybe some of them were a little bit leggy. You try and freshen it up in terms of personnel and keeping our structure, but maybe some were a little bit leggy in relation to getting going in that game. So it's always important to be able to influence the game, but it's keeping them fit. Sam I'm not wrapping him in cotton wool. I've used that phrase time and time again, but we're just keeping him available. Great to have Podge come on and affect it, and I thought Giovanni was brighter as the game went on today. So I've got no qualms in terms of our fitness levels, but he's got keeping them fit and fresh. Freshness is a word I need.
And finally, Alex Hartridge, man of the match this evening.
Well, he's man of the match, but I'll still wring his neck for halfway line defending. Look, maybe that game wasn't the right game for Alex, and I'm not too sure why he got man of the match, because the best games Alex plays in terms of his performances, where he just has to defend. That's all he's got to do, and that's no disrespect to Alex, but that's the foundation I want him to build his career on, to start with, in terms of any young defender. So keeping it simple and thinking the right things. Maybe he had too much of the ball and felt too comfortable at times today, but that's recognition of his standards he's set so far this season, and he's been absolutely outstanding. So I'll allow him those, not Mr. Medias, but those one bits and pieces, because he's still learning. He's still a kid in terms of that defensive unit, but his physicality is something which is outstanding for us.
Matt, thanks a lot.